CEO of Elektroteks. Maybe some of you guys know it already. And I will be giving some speech for what we do in terms of IoT and Industry 4.0 and digitalization for matrix automation, as well as some of matrix automation concepts. And as everyone starts hearing more and more, last 10 years, Industry 4.0 changed a lot of stuff with all the industries, although bedding industry is not the most mature one in the world, but a lot of automation keeps coming to the industry. So I will quickly mention today, and then I want you to start at the end with questions that you guys wonder. And I will very quickly mention who Elektroteks is, and then we have a few more subjects. And Elektroteks, we do, as most of you guys know, matrix production equipment. And we do a lot of tailor-made solutions, starting from assembly, material preparation, to packaging, and all the smart stuff, making it integrated with your IT stuff. And we locate in Bursa in Turkey, and we have our branches, mostly service-oriented branches in US, India, Bulgaria, and Brazil. And then we are 325 people and over 60 engineers and 72,000 different SKUs to make the machines, and over 100 different types of machines. And then we are a very vertical integrated company. And as company history, it's a 32 years old software company that used to supply software into many different machinery industries, including woodworking, sheet metal processing, automotive. And then last 14 years, bedding automation became our main business activity. And then, what Industry 4.0 brings to us, which is the bedding industry. And I will quickly mention what we use and on the ground on the production side. And then definitely consistent production, which is also always an income for the automation with less human interference. And then no changeover time for different matrices, unlike 20 years ago. Matrices start to have a lot of different varieties. No one has 5, 10 different types of matrices, when customers are more demanding and industry is more innovating, and then we end up with having more variety of products, which is kind of much harder to manage on the production floor. And and then when it comes to different types of matrices, and it becomes a huge problem warehousing those and then selling from the stock, and due to cost, space, and inventory cost. And then that's why on the production floor there is unless few very large retailers in the world, everyone goes to truckloads, small batches, 1s and 2s, 2 matrices change, 3 matrices change, 5 matrices change. And then the automation, very straightforward automation, ends up with losing a lot of efficiency, because the changeover times really loses the benefit of automation, and then it ends up with people go back to conventional methods in order to not to deal with complexity of the changeover times. And then Industry 4.0 brings us a lot of advantages, auto tuning the machine according to recipes of the matrices, and then quality control management, preventive maintenance, less human fatigue, safety, and consistency of the product, managing all these product types. Even for designers, it is became very hard, and then think about just operators on the production floor, it becomes very hard for them to make sure they are making the right product. And then there is a lot of like return rates that we hear from the industry due to like wrong assembly, using wrong components in the wrong different types of matrices, and then matrix producers like start to have problems with their customers. And then we of course focus on how we can make it much easier for betting companies. Yeah, IoT based, one more. Okay, yeah. Yeah, IoT based lines like data analytics, definitely important. Taking the data, variables, all the information from the line, and then keeping the data. When we have data, like it becomes like how we just process the data and what kind of meaning we are getting out of from it. And then we go digital plant and process, like automation, definitely like what we think, starting from design of matrices and taking the orders from your customers, and then unless like we cannot integrate the automation chain within this operations management, it basically become useless at the end. It's like taking one foam, gluing, moving one thing to another one, like unless it's controlled by itself, just integrate it into main process of operation, then it really becomes useless. And then simulation, a lot of bottleneck analysis, and keeping all different productions and then managing it in an automation environment, then having different cycle times for different stations, for different matrices, running all these operations without sacrificing why one station is busier for that specific type of matrix compared to other station. We kind of minimize the fluctuations of the cycle time thing, and then we need to make the automation such a way that it can create the production routes. And then simulation, definitely engineering and operations. At the end, our main motto is like having as much operators, as low operators as possible on the production floor, and then make the system like self-consistent and self-managed. And then reporting tools, definitely. And then reporting tools, like reporting the stuff as quick as possible, rather than just checking the books at the end of quarters, year, and what happened last year, because it may be too late to take an action to solve the problem, or the problem can be much larger than we can immediately solve. And what we are using in the lines, recipe management, definitely very important for IoT. And then for those kind of stuff, for definition of the matrices, recognizing what kind of matrix is coming to the line, like barcodes, RFID tags, like a lot of like tools are used, and then they become much lower and lower cost compared to 20 years ago, especially when you buy big batch. And then when the schedule starts and matrix is coming to different stations, like showing the routes to the operators, like make it a lot easier and to make it consistent product. And then of course we have many limitations here, but at least in terms of size, in terms of weight, in terms of many different like variables, we can also double check if the correct material, correct component be used in the station. There can be multiple weighting stations, sizing station for each components to be fed in the line. And then a lot of details, because matrix is not a rigid product. And then since we are playing with the textile, and textile normally it's like what you think in theory, never the same in the production environment. And then That's why, like for each product, for return rates, you might need special warnings, checkpoints, like make sure, for example, make sure you tension the quilting panel of this specific mattress much more than the regular ones, like for some specific reasons or some specific mattresses. And then all these kind of warnings and checkpoints become very hard when in handwriting environment, or just I told you yesterday, I have told you before, why didn't you do it again? Like it becomes very chaotic to manage all these complexities in the floor. And then, yeah, we use in the mattress industry a lot of like showing the recipes to operators at different stations, and then what kind of stuff they need to be used, what kind of stuff they need to be like concerned about this specific product. And then definitely when we have auto recipe recognition, and when the product itself brings the information with it, pretty much there is no changeover. And not only showing the warnings to the operators, but also machines are fine-tuned, or the recipes of the machine fine-tuned with the product itself. Like for example, like we don't need person interference, like to know they need to use a lot of glue for third layer of the mattress, which is a memory foam mattress, and you need 3 times more glue than usual. Like they don't need to go to screen and adjust this, like if the product is bringing this information and sending directly to the machine. And then, of course, this affects quality a lot. And then, yeah, like what else? I'm using Yatash since it becomes public, and now. And we use, like customers benefit a lot from dashboards that they can see pretty much, not everything in detail, but pretty much a lot of stuff, what's going in the production floor, and like, and remote management, remote working becomes more and more important. And then, like at least myself, when I'm away from something, I feel very concerned, and then that makes me more stressed. And then, like we try to make it like much more accessible for managers or supervisors, chiefs, and then so such kind of tools are showing real-time information for you. And cloud integration is a big thing now, that like, and browser-based stuff are getting more and more popular and more accessible for people, and user-friendly stuff is very important. And centralized troubleshooting, like when you centralize pretty much everything in the floor, like for troubleshooting, you don't need to go to the machine to connect it to somewhere, to connect it to one computer for remote troubleshooting. You don't need to, like, when you use different computer, you don't need to install drivers, new drivers for new PLCs and everything. So it helps a lot for the maintenance people, for remote troubleshooting. We or other mattress equipment manufacturers can directly get into there. And then real-time production charts gives you a lot of information from the ground. Not plus minus 3-4% maybe, but if something is drastically affected, it can very immediately show you what's going on in the, at least something is not going well in the floor. And then auto reporting tools, definitely very important. And then preventive maintenance schedules, like it helps a lot. It can be integrated with this stuff. And preventive and predictive, and that I will be mentioning. Yeah, predictive maintenance warnings, like what it is, like yeah, there are many mechanical components as well as electronic components. Not 100%, but a lot of them, we and industry is able to gather a lot of information and check the moving average of a torque of a motor, for example, compared to 2 months ago, and then before the gearbox or motor fail, at least it gives us an idea, just check it. And because stops are big problem and usually biggest loss, like compared to equipment investment. And then what I like, production analysis, like since we have pretty much like everything, we are able to gather any information from the floor. We are able to like take the reports, productions, weekly, hourly, like matrix type-based, like machine-based, operator-based, shift-based, supervisor-based, like winter to summer, cold weather to hot weather. You can see a lot of stuff. And then, yeah, gathering this information definitely very important, but processing this information and then defining what you want to gather from there, definitely like somebody needs to work on it. Like these reports, by the way, this Industry 4.0 thing, it doesn't really work when somebody comes every 6 months and saying, why did you make very low amount of matrices 2 months ago? It really doesn't work like this. When it is consistent, it has the meaning. And then, yeah, for matrices, again, like different matrices has different cycle times, different stations, and there are definitely always delays, and calculating the OEE, which is the efficiency of production, becomes more challenging. And then in an environment that you keep changing your product every 2 matrices, 3 matrices, 1 matrix, 5 matrices, like if the product itself moves with this information and you auto adjust it, you can get a lot of analysis of why my line was delayed, why this station is bottleneck, why, like, or how much since my foam didn't come to station number 7 on time, how much production I lost. And then, and many other information that you might think it can be valuable for. And then, like, you can get a lot of detail information, comparisons, month comparisons, product comparisons, or some product, let's say, you might think it's an easy one, maybe 20% more than the regular one, but when you get the reports for product base and you end up with seeing 70% production loss due to this specific type of product, you really need to rethink your costing on this product, and then either update the cost or price or work on how to minimize it. And then, yeah, quality management, definitely, like, although we try to think everything to be consistent as possible, but definitely there is stuff like bad happening. And then, but these reports, definitely many companies collect information, why it happened, how many quality problem, how many matrices reject, and then, but if the reports and the action of the reports comes very late, and then it becomes harder to fine-tune yourself for it. And then, for example, like if somebody comes to you and saying, because you tape edged wrong, we got 20 rejects 13 days ago. It doesn't really work. And then because 13 days you already got it, and then it's much less likely he's gonna remember why it happened, and then what he needs to like do, not to make it happen again, but like the integration gives us a lot of opportunities to inform the specific operator, the specific station operation, that something went bad and their matrices rejected for that reasons. Okay. Yeah, okay, sorry. Oh, I thought it was projection, but it's coming. And then, yeah, but with integration, we are able to inform people a mattress is rejected because number 7 tape edge machine in the line because of slip tape stitching at the corner. And then when you inform this in seconds to the operator, he knows for the second mattress he should do something different from what he did for the previous one. And then, like, yeah, many mattresses before was gluing, tape edging, just packing, but now there are many different operations is possible, many different routes, and then when the product has, again, it's information on it, and we are able to define automatic routes, like this kind of mattress needs to go to left, this one straight, this can first pass left, second pass straight. Like we are able to like make the product decide where it needs to go by itself. And then this helps a lot for handling, because if this number 2 mattress needs to go to left, and then number 3 straight, number 3 going to left, and then you need to lift the number 3 and put it to straight, like it becomes again chaotic, although we have automation. And if we miss the decision point in the routes, and then like we see a lot of human handling. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, and then when we have the information dynamic, like the lines can be integrated with your order management systems, your ERP, CRM, whatever it needs to be, which can be like, and lowering the inventory of finished goods, although raw material, just-in-time mentality in raw materials little bit gone away within the last 2 years because of supply shortages, but having more than like what you need for that specific finished product, but not having the material for the other product that I need today, it becomes very hard. And then the key for it is minimizing the finished good inventory while being as much prepared as possible for the raw materials. And then that's why like small batches of production plays a key role, but management becomes harder for it. And then many customers now, like their finished position of their line until dispatch area to the docks of the pallet trucks. I see a lot of customers, they have under 10 meter of distance from packing to the truck. And then because that means they make the production schedules to the trucks will be coming to door next hour. And then when this happening, we need to know whose mattress is this, and then we need to bring it in front of the truck. And then the order management and integrating it with the line becomes very important for it. And then, yeah, Industry 4.0, like I mainly explain it about the production lines, but which can be extensively used for borders, sewing, foam production, foam cutting, many different areas. But now I will quickly, like most of you guys very familiar with, but I will still very quickly mention about what is a production cycle, production processes in a mattress line. And then we start with lamination, gluing, like some mattresses are not glued definitely, but it is very short amount in terms of percentage. Lamination, assembly, we have trimming or not trimming, especially compress and roll mattresses. We have trimming, inner cover, if we have any, then covering, either can be zipper cover or tape edgings, and compress and roll or normal packing, boxing if we have. Then we have, for gluing, we have water-based lines, we have hot melt lines, and definitely it has advantages and disadvantages. Water-based lines are very widely used for compress and roll all foam mattresses, while hot melt is used for pretty much everything else. And then, yeah, hot melt lines, and there are solvent-based glues as well. very conventional ones, but they are getting rid of it for labor safety thing, which is a bad thing for operators as well as big fire risk. And then, yeah. And then water-based, hot melt, hybrid lines that we use both water-based and hot melt within the same lines. And we have automating feeding of the lines, and we feed foam, spring, and then you have, like, when you have very different products, it's also like springs are getting heavier, foam are getting heavier, more elastic, like more stretchy, harder to handle, and differentiation in product makes it harder for people to handle. Definitely machine as well, but we gotta make sure machine is able to handle your products as well. But robots started to be used more and more in the lines, and then for robotic feeding, okay, these are manual feeding of the lines. These stackers, robotic feedings, little bit more detailed information. And then we have assembly on the lines. We have manual assembly of components on the lines. Automated assembly is possible. There are different kind of principles for assembly of foam or matrix layers. And yeah, manual assembly, merging systems, telescopic assembly systems. And for spring, which is pretty much the hardest component to handle while making the matrices, and then labor safety, lifting the springs becomes more and more crucial. And on the other hand, like those kind of like very body involved jobs, people try to look for alternatives. And then keeping a sewing technician, sewing operator, although they are harder to find and train, but they can build a career for it. But lifting stuff doesn't really, not very critical business, critical job to find people for or train people for, but it's hard to sustain operators there. And then they become very automated versions of putting the springs onto matches, handling the springs. And trimming, although like conventional type of spring matrices, which is not very critical, but many automated assembly of all foam matrices, trimming the matrices to make sure finished product is in the correct size becomes very critical as well. Then inner cover for like for polyester cover versus FR sacks, which is widely used in Northern America, which is a must for certification. Then there are different types of inner covers, but conventional matrices usually doesn't use inner covers. And then when it comes to zipper covering the mattress as a finished product, zipper covers are very widely used for compress and roll products, but versus tape edging is used mostly in the industries. Tape edging is the sewing operation of the tape to join border to the quilting panel. And tape edge matrices is the most widely used covering station. And auto wrap, some matrices compressed, flat pack, some of them bag only, some of them compress and roll, compress and fold and roll, diameter adjustment, some of them wrapped with paper, some of them rolled with paper, polyethylene, stretch film, etc. Then auto boxing line, and some matrices, especially compress and roll matrices, shipped in a box for the product after rolling, and making the box and putting the mattress to the box is important, and automating it getting important. And then few lines examples I'm showing, like compress and roll lines, and yeah, just assembly lines with robots. But this was not the real topic actually, showing the automation. But what I was trying to show here, like there are multiple operation, multiple different types of matrices and multiple different types of components to be used in the matrices. And then automating all these, and you cannot have one line, like it depends on the capacity definitely, but you cannot have one line for compress and roll products, one line for foam, one line for spring, one line spring rolled, one line for bag only matrices. Like we somehow like need to manage all these in the production floor, and managing all these, in order to manage all these, we cannot keep having people like when they see a spring, they recognize this needs to go to this station. Like it becomes very hard to operate those stuff. And then Industry 4.0 really plays very important role in routing the products in the matrix industries. Okay. Yeah, thank you for listening and coming for my speech. And now, like, if any questions, I would like to hear you guys. Questions? No questions? Yeah, please.
One question, Moritz from Henkel. You talked also about predictive maintenance and quality control. How do you use their data to predict that? Because that is obviously something quite tough, because you can have certain assumptions.
Sorry.
So you can have certain assumptions about how the ideal quality should look like and how the parameters in processing should be before, but to really test that, actually you need to do physical tests. How do you take that into incorporate into software?
Physical tests, physical tests, what we are able to test is kind of like compression of a foam. Yeah, you can see the elasticity. You can see the hardness, you can check the size, but really like you cannot check a tile whether it's perfect by itself. Definitely there is human interference at the quality control. But for example, one quality control right before packaging, you have one product rejected because a sewing problem at the border of the mattress, whose border most probably made 20 minutes ago. And then, like, stitching, like you are the glue side, but stitching, like even a skip stitching machine can skip stitches, but it's impossible to see. Thousands of stitch, 3 stitch missed, and you cannot see it. But if you see 1 week later, probably you ship 1,000 mattresses of the same. But when quality management operator clicks on the reason, and then if your workstation at the border inform you directly, you don't have more than 20. At least worst case scenario, you say this machine cannot be used, or this fabric cannot be used. And then those kind of stuff, and getting the reports, like comparing how many mattresses are being rejected in September for skip stitch versus October. You can say, oh, October, we started to use this kind of thread. Maybe this is the problem. Let's see if it is the problem. Like, an immediate informing, and at the same time trying to see the bigger picture. Yeah, it helps a lot. And not very fancy way of image processing or something, but managing helps a lot.
So it's still an interaction then of human, let's say, and the data that you gather, but to make meaning out of that, someone needs to look at the reports, as you said.
For sure, that's why I told, but 6 months later you say, why I have more skip in February when it is August already, it's much harder to solve. And then you don't see the effect, and it demotivates at the end. Like, you just see it and skip it, turn the page.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. You had one as well? Question? No.
What percentage of your machines now are customers requiring roll pack mattresses versus flat pack? In the US, we're seeing a lot more roll pack mattresses or bed in a box.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that same trend with your demand for your equipment?
Yeah, manufacturing standpoint for us is like 80% roll pack versus 20% just bag. But these machines roll pack machines are not used only for the roll pack. And when it is on the ground, Northern America, we see around more or less 1/3 of the mattresses being roll pack. And then over 1/3 of the mattresses sold online, and whether it's bagged or roll packed. But when you see Europe, yeah, Europe pretty much close to it, 1/3 to 1/4. Here in Turkey, it's very low. And yeah, culture and service, like if you buy a mattress, they most likely come to your bedroom to set it. And then people don't necessarily need to grab like a higher. I think this is one of the largest. And culture, conventional culture, it's definitely important, but this is one of the reasons it couldn't go in Turkey. When you go to India, yeah, like with new startups, like maybe 1/4, it reached like 1/5 of the market. India is getting very big for it. And then China, big. Africa, very small. Depends, like let's say you go Senegal, Algeria, like there are a lot of roll pack. But when you go South Africa, no one is making. And then it depends, like global trends, definitely like online, e-commerce, warehousing cost, energy costs, like moving the material cost, and then B2C market, definitely roll packs is getting more and more importance, but conventional type definitely will not disappear. That's what I think. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much for listening. Yeah. Mm-hmm.